He has an associate's degree of applied science from Excelsior College. He received ministry credentials from the General Council of the Assemblies of God as a certified minister in 2008. In his life, Scott has had career stints in aviation, television production, computer technology, and information and security, traveled, studied, and/or worked in Canada, Mexico, Japan, the Philippines, Korea, Portugal, Greece, the Netherlands, Nicaragua, Israel, and Bangladesh. And we're glad he settled down and is now the mayor of San Jacinto. To give you some idea of the breadth of his experience, in the year 2000, Scott was chosen from a large pool of candidates from around the world to serve as a projects engineer for an international conference. In 2004 and again in 2006, Scott traveled to Bluefields, Nicaragua. During the first trip, he helped build a local church, updated their computers and programs, and participated in outreaches to their local community. The second trip to Bangladesh, he managed an eyeglass distribution clinic and supported a medical team which provided health care services to villagers. In November 2005, he traveled to Baker, Louisiana as a member of the state's disaster response team to work with the 2,000 Hurricane Katrina victims in the FEMA Hurricane Disaster Refugee Camp, Renaissance Village. Scott provided technical support for Riverside County's mobile unit, which provided resource provisioning for the Hurricane Katrina victims. In May of 2006, and again in December 2007, Scott traveled to the state of Israel and studied extensively throughout the nation, observing the major biblical and historical sites. In his second trip, Scott interviewed both Jews and Arabs concerning the current issues of the Middle East peace process. In November of 2009, Scott traveled to Dhaka, Bangladesh, as a guest speaker for the Human Rights and Ministry Conference. Scott traveled into remote regions of Bangladesh, observing and documenting the social and medical conditions within the country. Join me in welcoming Mayor Scott Miller.
Wow, I didn't know who he was talking about. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. This is not only a special night for San Jacinto, but it's really a special night for this valley. When you have two cities side by side come together in partnership, when you have a sovereign nation also join into those partnerships because you're all in the same valley, and you begin to pull down those walls and you begin to do amazing things because you realize you're stronger together than you are apart. Amazing things can happen. So thank you for being here tonight. I want to welcome you here to our 2011 San Jacinto State of the City Address. And as Bob said, we couldn't do this without our sponsors. The Saboba Band of Lasino Indians, thank you so much. CR&R, Southern California Electric, Tri-Lake Consultants, the City of Hemet, Ramona Humane Society, Physicians for Healthy Hospitals, Townsend Public Affairs, United Communities Network, and the Gas Company. Thank you so much for supporting this event tonight. And to our dignitaries, our folks from the Hemet City Council and from different levels of other governments, thank you for being here tonight. In support, by being here tonight, you're not only supporting, again, not just our city, but the unity and the voice that's coming out of this valley to start a new thing. Thank you. And I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce our city council. It's been an interesting year for us, but these four men are the men that I get in the trenches with, that I do my work with here in the city. And I am so honored and pleased to work with them. You know, each of us bring something different to the team. But as you'll see here in just a few moments, that team has created something very unique and has allowed the city to not skip a beat. So if you together could please welcome and thank you to our Vice Mayor, Andrew F. Kotyak. Andrew, could you stand? Councilman DeMemo, could you please stand? I appreciate Councilman DeMemo and his long-term commitment to the city of San Jacinto. Councilman Mark Bartel.
He's not here.
And then, of course, Councilman Alonzo Ledesma. Where are you at? And then our other elected officials and appointed officials, City Treasurer Bernie Simon, I don't know if he's here tonight, and our planning commissioners. How many planning commissioners do we have here tonight? Steve Warnicki, could you please stand? James Ivey, Jose Martinez, Jerry Mosberger, and Andrew Searle. These five gentlemen come together to help us bring together the wholeness of our city from a planning perspective. Thank you for serving. Our executive staff, the one and the only Mr. Tim Holtz. Who is no longer on crutches at this point. Our city attorney, Jeff Bellinger. Jeff, could you stand? Our city clerk, Rick Miller. I'm not sure if he's here. There he is. Our city engineer, Habib Matla, is actually not here tonight. He is actually flew to the other side of the world, to Iran, to get his 84-year-old mother to bring her back because his son is getting married. And so he's doing some very important business for his family. And of course, our police chief, Sue Trevino. Our fire chief, Dave Fulcher. And the one who really helped so much behind the scenes to put this event together, our Public Works Director, Mike Emerton. Our Planning Director, Asher Hartel. And our Acting Finance Director, Tom Prell. Thank you for being here. And I need to introduce my lovely wife, Linda Miller, if you could stand. Guys, if you forget to do that, and I'll leave that alone. My daughter, Timry Miller. And my son, Matt Forays, who is working amazing things for us tonight on the AV side. And our friend from Orange County tonight, very good friend of our family, Lauren Newborn. So thank you for being here. It's exciting to be able to make this presentation tonight. We've actually been working on this all the way up until today, actually. Not that that ever happens to anybody else. But just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about just really shortly in regards to the history, because Vice Mayor made just an amazing presentation on the history of San Jacinto. But the history of San Jacinto is highly integrated with the foundation and the creation of the County of Riverside. In fact, the possibility of this county being known as the County of San Jacinto could have very easily happened. It was in the late 1800s, and some other things took place, and we are now known as the County of Riverside. But as the Vice Mayor said, we are one of the oldest cities in Riverside County. Over the past 100 years, San Jacinto's growth has been steady and slow. But during the last 10 years, San Jacinto has grown at a rate of 127%, being one of the fastest growing cities in Riverside County. So let's flash forward to the present. Some of our major employers here in San Jacinto: Steel Weld, Skyline Corporation, Rama Corporation, Edelbrock, Neutralite Amway, Deutsch, Non-Manufacturing, Agri-Empire, Super Walmart, Stater Brothers, Saboba Casino, Country Club, and Cardenas. The municipalities and the public services that we have here in the Valley: the City of San Jacinto, the City of Hemet, the County of Riverside, Hemet Unified School District, San Jacinto Unified School District, and Mount San Jacinto College. All of these entities come together to make an amazing mix that happens here in our valley. Sometimes we don't realize how blessed we are to have the resources and the entities that we have. But as I said before, and as you'll see where I'm going tonight, if we can pull down the walls of separation, we can do the amazing here in the San Jacinto Valley. A new beginning, 2011. Tonight we move forward in strength, not because everything in the world has suddenly gone right, but in spite of the economy, in spite of the unemployment, San Jacinto will move forward in strength. Our valley will move forward in strength because its people have the heart to overcome, the heart to take on the challenges. My motto this year is a quote from Martin Luther King. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Our history is one of overcoming challenges, the legacy of strong resilience, of fortitude to continue to move forward in strength in spite of the obstacles. In spite of what others have said about San Jacinto, after 123 years, we are still here, we are still growing, and we are still moving forward in strength. Whether it was the great earthquake or the massive flooding, San Jacinto got back up on its feet, dusted off the dirt from the storm, and moved forward in strength. San Jacinto truly is a city of overcomers. Over the past few years, our city went through one of the most trying and troubling seasons it has ever known. We had a partial failure in leadership, and this violated the trust of the people. That season is over. It must forever be placed behind us. That chapter in our history is now closed, and a new one is started. Today is a new day, a day in which the city and the citizens of San Jacinto can trust leadership again, a day in which the people of San Jacinto can trust that their leadership is in office to serve and to not be served. You may always not agree with the council members and where they stand on the issues, but you can know this: this council will put the needs of the city and its citizens first and foremost as #1 priority. We will make the tough and challenging decisions from a place and position of integrity and moral virtue. We value your trust and we will not betray it. So as we prepare to move forward into 2012, we will set goals, we will bring vision, and we will foster hope. We started off this year with a bang. 2011 started off the year by hitting the ground running, and we really never slowed down. 4 new council members combined with 1 incumbent is not an ordinary council mix, but as you will soon see, it became a winning combination for the city and its residents. Each of the 5 council members brought talent, which complemented the team as a whole, and brought a well-balanced approach to the goals, the policies, and the vision presented to the city. In fact, some of the statistics in regards to how we blended together and voted are as follows. This year, as it stands, 215 agenda items have been presented before this council. Out of those 215 agenda items, 96% of the time this council voted unanimously. There were only 8 times this council did not vote unanimously. 4 of those times being a 4-to-1 vote, and the other 4 being a 3-to-2 vote. You have a council that is unified in partnership and in theme, and is strong and is ready to move the city forward. We wanted to get the city back on its feet and moving forward as quickly as possible, and I believe that we have accomplished this. Of course, we came forward with lots of goals, primary ideas, lots of things to restore to the city. But sometimes we just presented too many things all at one time. Sometimes there were too many to count. So, based on all these projects, I asked for lots of statistics. And I know everybody enjoys going to a meeting where they're going to hear lots of statistics. So I realized I would just be boring all of you, and that's the last thing I want to do after you've had a wonderful meal here tonight. So what did San Jacinto really accomplish this year? We outreached and we connected with other agencies. We started something this year that was very unique, and I'm very proud of it. Valley Congress, where both councils from each city got together and began to discover and look at the issues not based upon specifically to their individual cities, but what is happening here in the Valley. We immediately began to step up and support the issues of the city of Hemet. Early on, when Hemet wanted to be designated as the future courthouse location in the Valley, we immediately created a resolution to support that position. We've had our joint 4th of July parade, and the list goes on and on of the things that have come together to unite the two cities. We outreached to Valley-wide and to Mount San Jacinto College and both school districts and water districts too. See, reestablishing those relationships were very important to this council. So early on, we went out, we met with people, and we wanted all the agencies to realize that San Jacinto was reaching out to all these authorities so we could partner with them. We reached out and met with Assembly Paul Cook's office, Senator Emerson's office, and I had the pleasure of also going to Sacramento and meeting with the governor's office. You see, we can plan here in the Valley, but we need to make our voices known out there in the different regions, not only here in the county, but at the state level. Some of the other things that we accomplished this year: co-sponsoring a variety of events, the Ramona Pageant, the Chamber of Commerce Spring Fiesta, the Green Coalition Bike Fair, the Arts Council Passport to the Arts, Anastasi Play, which is a new play that's playing up at the Ramona Bowl that was very successful this year, Saboba Nationwide Golf Classic, and the Sand Drags. You see, in a time when I think most cities outside of our area are just sitting by and trying to ride out the storm, the city of San Jacinto is being creative and reaching out and realizing that by supporting all of these regional events, it supports the entire valley. We assisted small businesses to bring jobs to our community. In regards to the Country Kitchen that opened up earlier this year, they had a $50,000 debt that could not be paid in regards to their water connections to get their restaurant moving forward. So the city of San Jacinto provided $50,000 in RDA funds to be able to pay that bill. That restaurant is now up and running. It is full every day, and it is benefiting this community, and it's also created jobs. See, this is just another opportunity for the city of San Jacinto to make something positive happen. Earlier this year, we assisted with flood victims in their time of need. During the superstorms of December 2010, some of our residents here experienced flooding and damage with their homes. As a result, the city staff, the council, quickly reacted and sanctioned RDA funds to assist the residents in cleaning up their homes and repairing their damages. I really want to compliment our vice mayor that night Because as we were discussing this issue, we had a project gap of about $75,000 to help these folks out with their homes. We saw the pictures, we saw the water damage, we saw the mud in their homes. And in the middle of that conversation, which was based upon this $75,000 cap and $7,500 per home, Vice Mayor Kotyak stepped up and said, you know, let's double it. Let's make it $150,000 and let's make it $15,000 per home. See, we were able to step up in that opportunity and help folks repair the damage and get back to normal life. And I want to thank the Vice Mayor tonight, taking that opportunity to say, you know what, we can do something, but let's do more. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We commissioned the Downtown Facade Makeover Project. Main Street is an important part of our community, not only because of its heritage, because it represents the core of our city. Over the years, there have been earthquakes and weather and tough economy, and it's took its toll on those buildings. Now we're fast forwarding to today, where we have the opportunity to renovate that downtown area. So we've moved forward with the plans and the design for that area. And I'd like to thank our economic manager, Sharon Paisley, for spearheading that project. Thank you, Sharon. We applied for a $5 million grant for a multi-purpose park on 7th Street. Even though the times may be economically tough, the city of San Jacinto is trying to find ways to accomplish these goals. In this case, by applying for this grant from the state in order to build the first ever multi-use park of its kind, the park would include a skate park, RC tracks, BMX tracks, soccer fields, and walking paths. The council recognizes the need, especially for our youth in the valley. Not only that this park would serve the immediate neighborhoods, but the entire residents of this valley. This grant is very competitive, and I want to thank the staff for aggressively going after this application process, which we are still in the middle of doing right now. Thank you. So as we move forward in strength, there's many elements to a city. Police department, fire department, our streets, our sanitation, our entire infrastructure. There's so many things that make up a city. And as you look at those things, sometimes you look at those departments and that's how you judge the health of a city. So we're going to take a look at a few of those items. Our police department. First off, I want to recognize our wonderful police chief, Lieutenant Sue Trevino. There's no... And part of the reason why she's so effective is because she's supported by a great unit commander, Scott Collins. I'd be remiss if I did not mention the working rank and file of our police officers, detectives, and support staff, and our terrific volunteers. Thank you so much for all of your time, your efforts. Recently we had an incident that took place here in the city, and I showed up on the scene, and one of our volunteers was there to block off the streets, and he had everything in place, and he told me, you know, I got the call and I left work, and I immediately came out here. And I said, you know, there's nothing you can do to beat the heart of a volunteer, somebody who's so committed to be out there. Thank you for your hours and everything that you give. I could stand here bragging all night long on our police department and their accomplishments, but I would definitely run out of time. On this slide, you see some of the things that we have done with our police department this year, and it's all in an effort to take what we have and expand our services of public safety here in the valley. That takes us to our fire department, which I pretty much feel the same about. I could go on a long time about how well they do and how they show up in record time to all the incidents that take place here in the city of San Jacinto. Because emergency preparedness is really a big part of what I believe in, I'd like to say that our fire department has done amazing in regards to spearheading 2 CERT programs where the residents of the city get trained in disaster preparedness, making them actually an extension of what we do for public safety. Our fire department has been creative and purchased specialized rescue equipment, a trailer, and purchased CPR training supplies, utilizing non-general funds. The council should be clapping at that one. It turns out that our Station 25 here in town is the 4th busiest station in Riverside County, responding to over 4,300 calls within the city limits in 2010. 3,500 of those calls were medical emergencies. And why is that important? Because I want to emphasize that when our engine rolls out on a call, they are equipped with paramedics that make a difference in the lives of people who are on the verge of losing their lives. Having that type of top-level emergency and medical support on our trucks makes a huge difference in our city. And then on to our community development. Even with our slow economy, our planning department still has major projects on the way. We have an annexation going on of 683 acres in the northeastern area of the city. This includes the Country Village Lakes community, and they want to be a part of our city. Isn't that a good thing? They see our services, the trust is there, and they want to be a part of our city. We also have some future development plans coming on for 2 new projects of 121 homes. Later on, I'll talk a little bit more about how as our inventory of vacant homes lowers itself, it begins to trigger the development of new homes. Expansion of the Calvary Chapel in San Jacinto shows that they are a long-term committed member of this community. They're putting money into their campus, making their buildings better, bringing to our community a resource that we need. And then, of course, the expansion of the San Jacinto Valley Charter School, where they are enhancing the campus that they have and bringing the opportunity to have good and solid education from a charter school organization. And then on to our engineering, major and minor improvements. Our Esplanade and Cottonwood sidewalk program. This provides safe routes to schools that aren't serviced by traditional curb and gutter and sidewalks. And how many know it's a good thing when our kids can walk on a sidewalk and not in the street? We undertook several pavement rehabilitation programs, improving the streets with overlays and replacements. Let me tell you folks, the city of San Jacinto is busy getting the job done. We installed a new traffic signal, run right here at Saboba and Lake Park. We installed a new median with a welcome sign. It's right out there at San Jacinto as you enter into the city. And if you drive by there at night tonight, when you leave here, you'll see those beautiful palm trees with the lights on them. The amazing thing is for a long time, as you left Hemet coming north, you never knew sometimes when you entered the city. But now you know, with that beautiful monument there and that beautiful work that has been done to beautify the city. Again, even in tough times, San Jacinto is moving forward. And I'd like to thank our engineering staff. I know we have a table here tonight representing Habib and his company. Thank you so much to your commitment to the programs and the projects that we have here in the city. Thank you. So let's move on to a quick overview of finance, because I'm sure that's what everybody likes to hear about. As you can see from the variety of sources, when I saw this chart, I said, let me tell you, if you can see what that says, you have amazing eyes. Well, I'm going to break it down here for you. You can see from the sources like sales tax, property tax, grants, and many other streams. Our top 3 income providers, property tax at 18%, grants at 18%, and enterprise funds at 16%. Overall, the projected revenue of the city of San Jacinto is a little over $42 million in this new budget, which is a reduction from last year. Actually, it represents a 13% reduction, which is in direct correlation to the property value drops and also other economic indicators that have affected all of us. Our expenditures, our top 3 ongoing expenses, contracts, leases, interfund exchanges, 63%. Our personnel costs, 21%. The council worked very hard this year to go through a number of financial workshops. Staff did an amazing job finding ways to trim costs, with the result of a balanced budget and a reduction in reserve spending by 42% over the previous year. We balanced our budget. We did not reduce services. We did no layoffs. And we ended up with a little over $11 million in reserves. In our public works, our water well rehabilitation program has provided essential and expanded services for over 4,000 of our customers here in the city. Our well synchronization program. San Jacinto has a series of wells that goes throughout the city. Previously, we were running all those wells at the same time. By bringing in new technology and bringing in the ability to manage and monitor those wells, we were able to come up with a synchronization program that alternately ran the wells, saving the city of San Jacinto $100,000. Installing a backup generator on our sewer lift system. How many think it's important that the sewers work? Spending money on our sewer lift system, providing a backup generator, ensuring that there's redundancy and that that system never goes down. That's a good thing. Well site upgrades, adding telemetry so we can manage and monitor so we don't have any overflows. Purchasing a clean truck, dump truck with non-city funds. This was important. Not only that, because the dump truck runs clean technology and will last the city at least another 10 to 15 years. We added 2 play structures in our parks, Warnicki Park and another park on 7th and Overton, providing more services to our community where families can go and enjoy themselves. Our redevelopment department. You might think that I may be standing here tonight and saying, it's a blank page. Talk to the governor. But the reality is this. There have been some creative things that we've been able to do, and redevelopment, based on what we've been doing this year, has some programs that are moving forward. We have coordinated numerous assistance programs, purchased adjacent property to the City Hall to enhance our downtown district area. That's forward thinking. That's thinking about not where you are today, but where you're going. We've purchased multiple lots all around the city, again, with the idea that we can move forward with projects that no one else is doing. And of course, our redevelopment has been huge in the area of senior home repair. And that has been extensively used here in the Valley. Our code enforcement, and I'm very proud of this, that the city of San Jacinto, along with our legal team, successfully closed the 2 illegal marijuana distribution centers here in our city. We continued beautification efforts on vacant lots. This is where we have out-of-town property owners that refuse to take care of their property. And by pursuing those initiatives, those lots get cleaned up. We've developed and implemented a plan for stray shopping carts, putting into a program where retail has to have a third-party vendor in place where those shopping carts will be picked up and taken off the streets. We've addressed the foreclosures foreclosures throughout the city. We've cited property owners and sometimes even banks, ensuring that vacant homes do not bring blight to our communities. Our community center. The entire valley is served by our community center. There's no restrictions on where you live. In fact, most of the time when we go into our meet and greet and we meet the seniors that are at our community center, a large portion of them come from the city of Hemet, and I absolutely love that. They have a wide range of programs from crafts to computers to bingo. And they also provide a cool center when it's very hot. And our citizens have to have a place where they can have air conditioning at no cost to them. They can come to our community center. Our food program, where approximately 200 to 300 seniors a week come and get meals, not only in our community center, but we also have a huge group of volunteers that go to the homes in our community and deliver those meals to the shut-ins. And next to our city administration, which I am very proud of this piece. This year, through our legal team and our staff of negotiators, we were successfully able to negotiate a new 3-year labor contract to ensure stable workforce, to be able to bring pension reform, which is going to save the city hundreds of thousands of dollars in the decades to come. I compliment you and I thank you, our legal team and our staff, for having the fortitude to move forward. And I thank the employees of the city of San Jacinto for coming together at the table and making this successful labor negotiations a great thing and a win-win for the city of San Jacinto. So a little bit more good news. Our sales tax revenues are up. In spite of the struggling economy, business in our community continues to hold their own, and in some cases they do well, providing the result of sales taxes going up, our revenues increasing 8.9%, and I think that's a good thing. Our top 3 providers are transportation taxes, construction taxes at 10.8%, and food sales taxes at 6.2%. Our housing inventory. Overall foreclosures are on the decline, which translates into the sales of those foreclosures. In turn, this brings the valley and the property tax and services and goods consumption back to the levels they need to be. Our vacant housing inventory has gone down 47.7% since January of this year. Unemployment. Wow, what good thing can you say about unemployment? We recognize that unemployment is high in San Jacinto, but the good news is it's slowing down. Unemployment from 2008 to 2009 grew 7% in San Jacinto. But in 2010 to 2011, unemployment only grew at 0.6%. We also had a recent job fair in the city of San Jacinto, sponsored by the San Jacinto Assembly of God Church, where we had over 200 unemployed individuals show up to that job fair. And many people walked away with jobs and with interviews. You know, it's good when you can do these things and bring hope in the middle of these times. Significant community events that San Jacinto has had. The Rancho Park cleanup. You can see here the bald-headed guy up there in the left-hand side talking to these folks. Let me tell you something. The Mormon Helping Hands brought out that day over 200 workers to Rancho Park. They were all wearing yellow shirts. They were ready to work. They came out and they painted all the facilities in the park. They brought their own breakfast. They didn't have to be supported by the city. And I want to applaud the Mormon Helping Hands program, because they are a benefit to this community. The 4th of July parade. When's the last time you saw 2 neighboring cities with 2 mayors, 2 vice mayors coming together in these cars for the 4th of July? I'll tell you, it's a wonderful thing as we begin to tear down these walls and realize we are 2 cities in one valley. It was exciting to have this event and partner with the city of Hemet. We had a new route and a new time. We actually did it in the morning so everyone wouldn't be so hot. We had the largest number of entries in the history of the parade. And we, of course, had an ag theme which spoke to our history. The response from the community was overwhelming. And then our Ag Fest, held at Estadio Mansion, which encompassed a large community from the agriculture and dairy community, of which we have one on council. It was a wonderful event and really speaks to the history of who we are. It was well received, and we already have plans for next year. One of the things that we had been kind of kicking around was, can you imagine a steer run going down Main Street? Or better yet, the running of the bulls with the 5 council members out in front of the pack. That would be an amazing video, wouldn't it? The way I figured it was this. All I got to do is run faster than the slowest guy. Okay? Goals and visions. Continuing to work forward towards reducing the amount of reserve spending. This council feels that is very important. None of us want a deficit spend, and this council is committed to going through the process to making that happen. Conduct an event and planning workshop for 2012. So before we go into the next year, you will know exactly the events, the major projects that this city is moving forward on. To continue aggressively pursuing grants that will reduce the impact on the general fund. To review the use of technology in the city and find enhancements that will provide a wider range of services for the public. Just some of the goals as we prepare to move forward into 2012. I'd like to finish with this piece that I'm calling Moving Forward in Strength. See, tonight we have looked forward, we have looked into many facets of what makes up a city. There are indicators, there are statistics. For better or worse, they can paint either a good or a dismal picture of what a government is going through. With all these indicators, you must have the will and the vision to see what others don't see, otherwise you will get what everyone else gets. With the passing of Steve Jobs lately, brought back some memories for me. I remember myself being a young Marine stationed in El Toro, California in 1982. I remember one day going out into town, and back then, some of you remember, the 5 freeway was a 2-lane road, and there were nothing but orange groves in that entire area. I remember going out into town and going to the movies, and one day I saw this little shop, and it was called this Apple shop, and I didn't know what it was. Personal computing at that time really wasn't the mainstream of anything. And I remember looking at the shop and seeing this little machine that somehow stored data on a cassette tape. And I remember looking at this and thinking, who would want one of these things? And what would you do with it? You see, sometimes we look at what we have and we don't realize how much the potential is in what we're looking at. When we look at this valley and the partnerships that we can create between the cities and between the tribe, when we look at what we've been given, this beautiful valley with all these natural resources, sometimes we don't realize what's right in front of our eyes. So, a long time ago when I was looking at that first Apple computer, I had no idea that it would revolutionize the world. And as we live in this valley, we have no idea what we can do if we unite. Others have seen a divided valley. We see a united valley. Others have seen strength in separation. We see that we are strong when we are united. For over 100 years now, people have highlighted our differences, but we choose to highlight what we share. The San Jacinto Valley, where two great cities side by side, along with the tribe, are now willing to see what others never saw. As Steve Jobs actually said it the best, don't waste living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by living with the results of other people's thinkings. You see, tonight I want to present to you something that could be revolutionary. That we would put aside the past, the indifferences, the strife, and unite under this one cause. While the whole world seems to be spiraling out of control and going crazy, this valley, the San Jacinto Valley, can be a place of peace and safety and unity if we have the will and vision to see that what we're looking at could revolutionize the world. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank you for being a part of what I believe is a fresh start. I want to present to you tonight what I consider the rising star of Riverside County, the great city of San Jacinto. God bless you, and may God bless the San Jacinto Valley.